know, it's a privilege and an honor to be here today with you. When I met Benita about a few days ago, and we started talking about the business, something deep inside of me said, let me really engage with Benita and share with her some of the insights that I have learned over the last 20 plus years. I'll begin with the first one. And how many of you here have children? Raise your hand. Okay. How many of you have little children? Maybe like under the age of 10 or so. Raise your hand. Okay, great. How many of you have big children over the age of 10? Okay, I have a couple of those. Very good. Excellent. Well, you know, the story of the fridge, and it's a great analogy that I'm going to start off with. I was about 27 years of age, and I remember, by the way, when you open the fridge, when you go to open your fridge, how do you open the fridge? You grab the handle and you pull towards yourself. And usually you do that for one purpose, to take something out of the fridge, so both hands become occupied. And at the end, how do you close the fridge? With your little elbow or the leg effect. That's what I've done all the time. Or the head, exactly. So I was about 27 years of age when I walk into the kitchen and my son is standing next to the fridge. He looks at me, I look at him. He looks at the fridge and I was like, I don't know what he's thinking. But he opens the fridge. My son is about 1.5 years of age at the time. He lifts up his little leg and he pushes the fridge closed, shut. And I say, my God, where did he learn that? For the last year and a half, I have been under the microscope, so is my wife. He's learned these moves. I realized that I actually was leading my son in his life. You know, when we're early on in our lives, we realize, well, we have to have role models, and you know, whether you like it or not, we are all leaders of our own. And the most simplest of them all is we are actually leading our families. Here's another one. The reason why this happened, there is a psychological term called mirror neurons. And mirror neurons are neurons inside of children's or inside of human beings. And especially children, they mirror everything they see around them. And I remember, how many of you here remember when there was a beeper before there was a cellular phone?
The pager.
Pager, yeah, okay. I just simply didn't get one of those, okay? And then the mobiles came, and I resisted until the year 1996 to get a mobile, okay? That's pretty impressive. But then what happened is, by the way, I come from the direct selling industry, and you get to know a bit more about my story as I delve into it more. But you know, it's easy to bring work back with you home. And this type of a business will probably take every single minute that you can give it, right? Yes. And it's exciting, especially when you're building something for the future of your family. A lot of time we don't know when to put a stop. So I remember coming back home, bringing work with me, and being on the phone in the living room, pacing, talking with people. And of course, who was watching? My son. And his first telephone toy. I remember same exact example. Me going in, I remember coming back from work, you know, giving my wife a kiss and giving him a kiss, and then the phone rings and I start pacing in the living room, and sure enough, my son goes and gets his little, you know, plastic toy phone, and he comes and he goes, blah, 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 and I'm talking on the phone, but I realized that he was just doing nothing more and nothing less than mirroring my own behavior. Now, why is this important in today's world and today's economy? Because as you just saw in the video, if our grandparents had seen this video, they think these people are living on a different planet. And today, there are 16-year-old kids pulling these stunts in here. And I've thrown around a few questions in terms of this is the new economy. We live in a changed world, and if we do things the way that we have been programmed to do them. I saw your presentation yesterday, and I enjoyed the part when you spoke about your father, who had his father had him, and he did the same thing, etc., etc. And then comes you, where you really want to set your future generations free. I was talking with Catherine yesterday, and I talked about the law of abundance, where we live in a world, I'm not going to go religious on you here, this doesn't matter what is our religion, but you know, God is big, and God is very generous, and God has everything we ever want. God created the world, for God's sake, and He didn't create one molecule, He created all the freaking molecules that are around, all the amount of air, all the amount of water, trees, just name it. There's everything that anybody needs. But yet we as a human being find a way to fall back into what is called a scarcity mode, where I'm going to have something and you're not. I am going to go for what it's I win and you lose type of a mentality, type of a behavior. And one thing I love about this business is that the only way to move ahead is by sharing it with other people. It's by sharing with them an opportunity, sharing with them a product that can actually change their lives and change who they become. Better said, it will change who you become. Because the only way you're going to grow this business is if you yourself are continuously growing. You know, I'm going to start by saying that the concepts I'm going to share with you today, I will bluntly say they are not new concepts. I don't believe I'll stand in here and give you something you haven't heard before. I believe you have very capable leaders that have content and have information that has already changed the lives of many of you here today, right?
Yes!
Okay, great. The other thing is, here's what could happen is some of the concepts you're going to hear today are going to be concepts that you know, but you probably are not doing yet. And that's what hopefully will happen. A lot of the ideas are going to be like. And what I want you to kind of go evaluating today is don't write everything I say, but just pick one or two ideas that you ask yourself, if I start doing this more, what would be the outcome?
More.
Fine. If I start, okay, if I start, let's say, making more phone calls to people, if I start showing the plans more often, if I make my list, if I continuously keep upgrading the list that I have, what is the one or two ideas that you're going to get out of what I'm going to share with you today that will have the biggest impact on you? Maybe the simplest idea is, you know what, let me just follow the program. Let me just get on with what hundreds of other people have done, successfully have achieved, and let me get on board so that I myself can start getting the results that I deserve. This business only works when you work. Okay, you've heard that one before. Great. So again, the ideas aren't going to be new. They're going to be things you've heard but you're not doing. And here's the last thing I'm going to say is probably you probably will hear ideas that you're not going to agree with all the time. And I'm not asking you to agree with me. Because it's a free world. And actually don't agree with me. But what I want you to do is have an open mind. Because those ideas, I didn't stand in front of you here. I'm not standing in front of you and just saying things that I think would work. No. Those are ideas and concepts that I know have worked for me, have worked for hundreds and thousands of people that I've worked with in the past. And all what you gotta do is, as I heard again yesterday, is there are two parts to this quote. The first part is, you've heard yesterday, that says, the mind works best when it's open, right? But the other part, maybe you've heard, maybe not, but it says, once the mind is open, it never regains back its original shape. So once you open your mind, it starts identifying opportunities you have not been aware of before. Guess what? Your mind will never think small ever again. You start thinking these huge, double flips and, checks with commas and having thousands of people in your downline and all the things that you see few people doing, you yourself can actually do as well.